vent out your frustrations in terms of last night's ending the
I
SmackDown.
mean, I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna take up too much time. I felt it was fucked up. It was really messed up how like you could have still did Cody, you could have still did Roman versus Rock without having to put Cody in the middle of it. And I understand, scripts changes, and I would want to believe this is just me being naive that because Punk got hurt, because Vince did what he did, they kind of want to smooth things over and, you know, try to, have a clean WrestleMania, but not at the expense of Cody Rhodes. I felt like,
Yeah.
Cody literally just handshake and gave his world title. Like he literally sat there and said, I
Yeah.
want to take everything away from you, Roman, but I'm not going to do it at WrestleMania. Mind you, Roman just shitted on the title. So what do you
Mhm.
so what are you basically telling us that the second let's just be clear. No matter what Seth said on Monday to make a case for the title, we know that World Heavyweight Championship is not the prize. The prize is the WWE Championship. We've always been grown to know that even during the Ruthless Aggression era, no matter how much Triple H tried to make that title relevant, we always knew that the WWE Championship was the top prize. And the fact that you have Cody win back to back Rumbles and then now he's not going to get it. You could have did, 2 night WrestleMania where you get Rock and Roman one night, and then Rock, I mean, and Cody and Roman the next night. He's still able to finish the story. How does a back to back Rumble woman now, not finish his story? He's going to finish his story with the World Heavyweight Championship. It's not going to feel the same, especially after he just told The Rock, he literally said, I want to finish the story against you, but I'm not going to do it at WrestleMania. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I just felt like it was a slap to the face to Cody and all his hard work. And it's really messed up. And it feels like a little bit Rock is being like Hogan. You being a sunshine stealer and you always, because of numbers and all this other, like, no, like, come on, bro. Like, it shouldn't have, like, yes, we want to see Rock versus Roman, but not this way. And if the fans really speak up, because I believe this is the most disliked video on YouTube till this day right now.
Yeah.
But right now, I think it's at like 60% dislike.
Had over
I'm saying,
200,000.
listen, yeah, I'm thinking
Right.
we calling for a hijack. Like, and somebody
Mr.
just brought this
Coulanges.
to my attention. The last time we saw Rock and Roman in Philly, it didn't go well. So now you guys are gonna you already shitted on Cody,
I
and then
was
now
there. He was there.
yeah, you were there, right? So
Well,
you
would
already
you?
shitted on Cody. Yeah, you already shitted on Cody, and now you're going back to Philly with Roman Rock again. What the fuck you think is gonna happen? Like,
Mr. Coulanges,
yes,
do you mind if I interject for a second?
please do. I entertain it absolutely.
So I'll get some passing points out the way. I completely understand how you and a majority of the IWC feel. And typically when it comes to these things, I usually pick the safe option because sometimes I feel indecisive about these things too. I'm at my wits, I don't know how to feel. I want to make a bold prediction here because there's a part of me that doesn't believe with this current regime that they're going to make a decision this asinine without considering a few things. If we take it back to WrestleMania 31, play button YouTube Mania, right? They were in a very similar situation where they had two individuals who the fans knew were box office attractions, the biggest stars in the company, and they still decided to give their moment to the right person. Or maybe not even the right person, but a better option because they knew it wasn't going to end very well. And it was done very last minute, right? This is WrestleMania 40. Cody Rhodes has won the Rumble back to back. And WrestleManias that end in 0 typically end with main events that are triple threats. If we take it back 2 years ago, Stone Cold Steve Austin faced Kevin Owens in essentially a glorified street fight in the main event of WrestleMania, and they worked a match that worked to Steve Austin's limitations in the ring and presented him as looking as though he could have another run. They did a phenomenal job. Credit Steve Austin taking some bumps on the floor and everything in between, bringing it back to WrestleMania that ends in zeros and usually ends in triple threats post Mania 10, right?
Yeah, I just realized that too.
One of the biggest criticisms of The Rock is that The Rock was already made of paper mache a decade ago when they had him working with Cena. There are clearly limitations that The Rock can have, or that he currently has, no matter how great of a shape he looks aesthetically. Part of me feels like they're aware of that. We're going back to a WrestleMania that ends in 0, that typically has a main event that's a triple threat, where an emerging babyface who's been wronged by the system or has a lot going up against him due to politics is thrusted in a triple threat where he should have no chance to win, but does. I could be completely wrong. But the way I see it, if you can't bring yourself to do Cody versus Roman again, the same way you did last year, and you also want to have Roman versus The Rock, I find myself being the little girl in the taco commercials, questioning why we can't have both. And not only can we have both, in a triple threat, you can get those individual moments, those perfect camera shots, those perfect stare downs, the brawls, and you can encompass everything that you need out of all 3 stories, or all 2, I should say, at once. Last night, Cody relinquished his opportunity to fight at WrestleMania for all intents and purposes, whether it be symbolically or verbally. Cody had a look of regret on his face doing it. Cody Rhodes is entitled to the main event because he earned it. What's to say that Cody Rhodes can't rescind his decision since he earned it and it is on a contract that he's guaranteed that opportunity? Who's to say that The Rock wouldn't allow him to do so? Who's to say that what The Rock said to Cody doesn't indicate something bigger? And who's to say that what happened last night wasn't part of the whole idea of getting us more invested for this Mania clash if we don't truly know what it's going to be?
I will say this though. I understand I understand the triple threat, and I get history has just proven the last 2 Manias at NNO have a triple threat, but for some reason I don't see it with this one. I feel like they want, the only way it could be salvaged is Rock Roman night 1, Cody Roman night 2. That's for me. That's the only way you can salvage it. Like, I don't think the triple threat would do any justice, because then it's like, again, I get it, because The Rock is fighting for the head of the table title. He's not fighting for the WWE Championship. Cody wants the WWE Championship, right? So it's like, I feel like doing a triple threat takes away from both of those stories, because you're trying to mesh it all in one. The only way to separate them, like I said, is...
That's the thing. We've seen this before with The Rock. We dedicated 3 WrestleManias to The Rock to tell one particular story. And while The Rock doesn't have as much time on the table as he did 10 years ago, no pun intended, who's to say that Rock versus Roman one-on-one isn't going to happen again if they were to do a triple threat, or them interacting in a match isn't going to happen again? Because the reality of the situation is that if Rock has certain limitations, a lot of people don't have enough faith in him to do a singles match at this very moment. If he were, and because it's very last minute and he hasn't been preparing that much, that's something that they should be taking into account, no? So if you give The Rock more time to prepare for a future match, because something tells me if they can make a lot of money off of all these stories at once for WrestleMania this year and possibly replicate it again the next year, because if Cody were to win, which is what everybody's expecting to happen, Roman has to go on a decline. Who could he possibly blame for that if we make it a triple threat? Dwayne. Dwayne's the reason why Roman declines. Cody gets all the spoils of it. And that leads into next year's WrestleMania. And even if it doesn't go exactly that way, just the fact that there's a possibility of them cashing in on all of this, it's in the company's nature to do so. A couple of years ago, if we reference another triple threat that shouldn't have been a triple threat, it should have been Charlotte versus Asuka 2, and it should have been Ronda and Becky Lynch a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was what, 37?
They made it a triple threat. They made Asuka drop her belt. They made Asuka drop her belt weeks before the show. They put Asuka in a battle royal, and they had every single card on the table. They threw all their hats. They threw everything for that triple threat.
Sure.
Because it was box office.
But see, here's the thing. I get what. By the way, Hitless Nation, Brawl Nation, y'all done seen me in multiple different windows. It's a long day. We're just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Podfather, what's happening?
What's
I
good,
hear what
boss?
you
Saca
guys are
Fett.
both saying. Saca Fett. I hear what you guys are both saying. But if I am to take what I saw last night as gospel, and this is what I was going to do on my own personal window. I don't know if I could show it through the thing. I'm going to point it to the screen. This is what Cody did last night.
Oh,
This. Carl, do you know this moment right here?
Wait, I can't see it. What is that?
This game seven.
Game 7. Ben Simmons passed up a layup when Trae Young was
Oh
guarding him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
So while I understand retconning this in a way, I understand evoking even more sympathy. In the messenger chat, in the WhatsApp chat, in our personal chat, I made this statement. I said, faces are people that we either relate to or we aspire to be. And they have that one distinct trait that we hold on to so we can persevere with them within their story. What is Cody Rhodes' trait? It's perseverance. It's conviction. It's standing on his business. It's him being determined and straightforward. Why would I, even in the imagination of him saying, you know what, never mind, I want the Mania match back. Why would I want to support that? Now, if we want to take it a step back and we were to use last year or the Sami Zayn match or the whatever the last year plus with Roman's run, if we wanted to use that as an example, I say this. The reason why we were able to support even more so Cody after the fact is because he was persistent the entire time. And he sat there and said, I have to finish the story. That is what you can rock with, because as much as a person is going to kick you down and kick you down and kick you down and kick you down, you're going to say, no, eventually I'm going to get up. I don't say, you know what? I'm going to just let Carl go first. And then I'm gonna come in. You know what, Carl, I'm gonna call you back. Never mind. Because it sets up so much different things. A lot of dominoes have to be placed in order to make that work. What has to go into Kid's Ty's example, right? If that were to happen, The Rock needs to turn heel. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Oh, it will.
At
The
this
minute we
point in
start
time-
Die Rocky Die chants. Oh, it's coming.
But I
Roman
think
has to be.
here's the thing. In the past 2 Rock appearances, a lot of people have been hating on how he has carried himself upon the WWE. He is just as much of a politician as Cody is nowadays. He's literally on the board that owns the company.
He's the board of directors.
So now he's put himself in a position to where he is impenetrable. He's not. He's the ultimate good guy. I'm playing Play-Doh, putting Play-Doh on my face while my daughters play with me, while I'm playing piano. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm doing interviews with Joe Rogan and Kevin Hart. That's what I am now. I'm going on First Take. That's who I am now. So you put that into perspective. Even the path that is the most obvious, which is clearly the announcement they made, Roman versus Rock, the press conference next week. That is the thing that they're going to promote. I do not know how that's going to go. And chances are, if I had to be a betting man, it's going to go trash. Why? Because Rock is in a different phase of his life right now. But putting it into perspective of Cody, this whole thing about centering around Cody, I know we're Brawl, we Fantasy Brook extraordinaire. Ain't no way in Sam Hickey hell we could save this man. He died last night. He died. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because as a fan, if you're watching any show, People's Champ, Randy, we watched one-on-one. How do we look when Arnez was out here seeing Brianna get smashed by Ray J? Were you sad about that? Did you give up on the show after that?
I mean, it was canceled after that.
When you saw the game and you saw Derwin start messing up, did you start falling sour on him on that? Pick a show, any show. How relatable a character you had from point A to point B. Were you still rocking with him then? No. We're talking about Carl, you mentioned earlier, to put it in a sports perspective, right? You tagged us all earlier this week in, is the Knicks Is Jalen Brunson an top 5 MVP candidate? Everybody's on the Knicks. But if the Knicks do some stupid stuff, everybody gonna leave.
It's LOL, Knicks.
So why are we getting this thing of, I guess no, he died yesterday. That's what happened. Maybe not
And he didn't have
Cody
to.
Rhodes, the human being. Maybe not Cody Rhodes, the person. The character, the main event potential that was Cody Rhodes, it went. It came and it went. He may be still champion. But to willingly give it up, it gives away all of your character motivations.
It's the AEW thing
all of your character motivations. He is anti-CM Punk 2011.
Oh.
The reason, and mind you, The Rock did, and this isn't the first time The Rock did it. He did it to CM Punk in 2013.
Exactly.
He did the same exact thing.
The thing is,
again, and I hate putting this label on The Rock, but it's like, again, this is Hogan shit. Hogan did this is the type of thing, like, The Rock really didn't need the spotlight for WrestleMania 40. He really didn't, honestly, because he's The Rock.
I have something to say to that. I get where you're coming from. And like I said, I'm offering what I think will happen. Nothing's confirmed. None of what we are saying is confirmed. I'm not going to invalidate your point. But you did say a word that was very interesting, and you said the word politician. Right? Politician. The Rock very much is as much of a politician as anybody. You can interpret that sentence for how you want to. But if there's one thing that a politician typically does, is save face. Correct? Regardless of what they're hit with, they save face. Now, you mentioned The Rock would have to turn heel in a scenario. Now, while I don't believe that The Rock will exactly turn heel, I don't take the possibility out. Because Rock has also proven in the past that he's willing to adjust the role depending on the storyline and under the impression that he's allowed to. In the CM Punk scenario, you could argue that Punk was completely right, similar to how you can argue that Macho Man was completely right in the Mega Power storyline, right? But they still played it the way that they did because that was what the company wanted. Again, maybe I'm giving too much credit to a new regime. I'm stating possibilities. And I do think there's a strong enough case that if The Rock were to be aware of this, especially as Carl brought up the fact that they were in Philly last time and they got booed and The Rock looked visibly confused, I think a lot of them are expecting certain outcomes and certain reactions. If The Rock is going to play any sort of aligned role in this, he will come across as a tweener because he will come across as a tweener at first because part of him will be confused as to why he's being booed. Do I expect it to be a situation where he turns Hollywood Rock like he did in 03? No, but if we go off of the idea of him being a politician, to your point, he could try to play it off as, they don't realize what they want. We're here to make something special, which he said in use. Hold on.
But that only helps him. That only helps him and the storyline. It doesn't help Cody.
I'm saying under the impression of if my prediction were to come true, if Cody were to still be involved in the main event of WrestleMania, it can be played to Cody's benefit. Because if this it can.
No.
Yes, it can.
The only way that happens.
No. I'll tell you.
The only way it happens is if he gets night 2. That's all I'll say. Is that
But again,
he's getting night 2 regardless.
But again, you guys are failing to realize he said, but not at WrestleMania. It came out of his mouth.
I never said he didn't.
His character motivation is persistence, and he stopped dead. Why am I supposed to support him? That's not his only defining character trait, Jay. That's what I'm trying to say. In a world of possibilities, multiple character traits can exist, right? Especially for a character like Cody, who's gone on record in interviews to say that one of his biggest character traits is his stubbornness and his misguidedness. He's mentioned this in AEW when he was talking about different storylines that he's messed up on, him choosing not to make himself a world championship contender. One of the biggest things that is part of his character is the fact that he regrets. He regrets decisions that he's made, and he tries to make up for them with future decisions. If this storyline were to go down the route of he chose to give up his WrestleMania main event because he believed that something else was a better option, because in that same promo he mentioned that he had spoken to a council of his own, legends of his own, including The Rock,
on what decision to be made. He, in some ways, you can interpret it as he allowed himself to be politicked out of his main event at WrestleMania. If a person who has a perseverance character arc is
let me know when I
convinced
can
out of
tag
it,
Your
go
phone
ahead.
lags.
1 second. He can be convinced to make a bad decision, regret it later, and use it as motivation to make the right choice in the end. That is what I'm saying. So as much as it could be the end of his arc, it could also be the continuation of it in the same token, is what I'm saying.
Carl.
No disrespect. I think that's a whole bunch of bullshit because at the end of the day, The Rock is part of the TKO group and he makes the final call. So The Rock picks up the phone and calls Cody and says, bro, I'm sorry. I'm taking your main event slot, period. That's what happened. That's basically what just happened. We can't sit here and say someone convinced him not. Cody's not the top guy. He's not part of creative. If creative comes to him and tells him this is the plan and this is what we're doing, he has no argument in it. He has to do it. And that's basically what happened. The Rock came in. The Rock was part of TKO. He said TKO group backed him up. And he pushed for this main event to happen, period. That's what happened. Cody had no say in the conversation.
You very well may be right in terms of backstage, but if we're in a scenario where it is kayfabe blending with real life, if there's a gray line, that can also be intertwined into the story as well. I'm not doubting what you're saying. I'm just saying you can't dismiss the other possibilities either. That is what I'm saying.
Sorry. I'm dismissing them because because again, Cody won the Rumble and he literally pointed. That's where I know the direction changed. So if we were going to do this last night, why would Cody win the Rumble and point to Roman Reigns? Like literally, that's what the stare down was on. Like literally a week ago, we were all hyped up to get Cody versus Roman 2, and then by Monday, Seth Rollins is coming out trying to make sure that he changes his mind. So between the weekend, some shit happened. Honestly, that's what really went down. CM Punk got hurt. They were getting the backlash from Vince, and by Monday, Seth Rollins is making the case for the World Heavyweight Championship. And again, since when does Seth have to do that? So they're already planting the seeds on Monday, and then we get to Friday, and then boom.
So you know what? I got you. Ty, point that you made up before, I give you that. I'll say it to you like this. Can Cody rebound off of whatever, based off of your scenario? I trend towards a no. I'm not gonna say it's a full-on no. But what I will say is that from where he was at the very start of that promo to the very end, there is little to no chance that he will get back to that. Because at the end of the day, if you are going to get to a point where you're almost at the end and you're like, you know what? No. And then you come back and then you say, you know what? Never mind. Yeah. You think of it in any different perspective. Think of it, you talking to your coworkers, the indecisiveness. Think of it X, Y, and Z. Yes, it's relatable. From that perspective, yes, it makes you personable from that perspective. But at the end of the day, these character traits of what you mentioned that he also has, Cody Rhodes' whole thing was finish the story. His whole thing was finish the story. So from that perspective, from the very basic level, and I tend, you know more than I do. I don't tend to be this instinctive with my points. I tend to be with you on the end of, hey, let's see it. But from the perspective, if I'm going to take out my whole character and strip my whole character, shake this man's hand, shout out to Carl Weather style, bring him in, smile, and then have a sad face, walk out the ring.
Come on, man.
So and then you take even at the very least, you took the press interview away from me. The February 8th thing that they're having going on next week, where it's going to be Rock and Roman face to face. You took that away from me. Why would I want to change my mind in the midst afterwards to do all of that? Because what it tells me is that, yeah, I don't want the limelight, but I want the champion. But at the end of the day, it's all glitz and glamour that WWE is worried about, which paints him in a bad light, because at the end of the day, they're going to want Rock back again for the next year, and then the next year. And then lo and behold, he's going to be in his early to mid 40s still trying to finish his dang story. So that's the perspective that I'm leaning towards, where it's like, yes, I understand where you're coming from, but at all costs, this was a moment to say, hey, if you really want to be more CM Punk than CM Punk, then just be honest and say, hey, this should be mine. There's many different routes that they could have went with that story on Friday night. They went the very, very worst one with not the worst cliffhanger, but the worst route they could have went.